All right, AP Human Geography students, here's our third video on ethnicity, and we're going to focus on why do ethnicities clash? Good question. Let's get to it. All right, so I'm going to talk to you about specific cases, all right, throughout the world. We're going to first start in the Horn of Africa, all right, and what that encompasses, just so you know, is Djibouti, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Sudan, and Somalia. We've talked a little bit about Sudan. I'm going to focus real quick on Ethiopia and Eritrea and why there is conflict and why ethnicities clash. So both of these countries were under Italian rule in the late 20th century. Now, Italy gave Ethiopia its independence after World War II and also granted Eritrea to Ethiopia. Now, Ethiopia did not grant Eritrea its own independence, which it wanted because it's its own separate ethnicity and wanted its own country for nationalism purposes. Now, the Eritreans rebelled against Ethiopia in a 30-year war, and again, it's because of ethnic freedom slash nationalism. They wanted their own country. If you look here, you can even still see that there are still some disputes about borders between both countries, and thus the UN has a quote-unquote buffer zone between them so continuous war doesn't break out. One example. Here's a second example. In Sudan, which we talked a lot about, Darfur so far, right? The south is comprised of black Christians and animists, and the north and west is comprised of black Muslims. Now, the reason why there's this division, yes, it's largely due to religion, and again, religion is a component of ethnicity. Let's now go to Somalia. Now, Somalia, it's interesting because they're largely ethnically the same. Most people who live in Somalia are Sunni Muslims who speak Somali. So, why is there a division? Well, there's these clans, if you will. And you can see to the map on the right, that's the country of Somalia broken down by these clan divisions. Now, the reason why these ethnicities are clashing is over land. Another reason. All right, second to last case study. There's ethnic competition in Lebanon as well. This is primarily due to religion rather than ethnicity. If you could take a look at the map here, we can see that different religions are clustered in different regions within Lebanon. And it's split between four major groups: the Christians, the Sunnis, the Shiites, and the Druze. Now, just as a side note here, because I've never mentioned it before, Jews are considered to be a denomination of Islam, which they hadn't been previously. And again, you can see that the division in Lebanon is due to religion. So, another example of ethnic clashing is India and Pakistan. Now, British ruled this Indian subcontinent until 1947 and purposefully split these two areas into Pakistan and India. And the reason for this was that they identified that India was primarily Hindu and Pakistan was primarily Muslim. Now, there is still boundary contention that exists between both countries, and that's in the region of Kashmir. And if you see here, it's that red little country in the map. Now, the problem is the borders weren't set correctly because Hindus were caught on the Pakistani side and Muslims were caught on the India side. So they had to basically migrate to be on the correct boundary side. All right, a huge problem. Now, to make matters worse, there's a religion called Sikhism, and they are upset because when British entered their control in India, they did not give them their own separate piece of land, just like the Muslims of Pakistan and the Hindus of India did. On to our last one, the Sinhalese and Tamil in Sri Lanka. Now, Sri Lanka is a little known multinational state with problems of ethnic freedom. We'll talk about that in a second. Sinhalese comprise 82% of Sri Lanka's population versus the 14% of Tamil. Now, the Sinhalese have dominated government, military, and commerce, basically everything in Sri Lanka. Now, the Tamils feel that their ethnic identity is in jeopardy due to this domination. Thus, they would like their own separate nation state from the Sinhalese. Again, you can see here religion does play a role. The Sinhalese are primarily Buddhist and the Tamil are primarily Hindu. Once again, different ethnicities and different religions are playing a role in this ethnic clashing. Okay, I gave you various examples and various reasons why ethnicities clash with one another. We'll talk more about this in class. See you then.